he decided he would lurk inside smokes. He would lurk through screens. He would get right up in your face, and rather than doing these long rotates and flanks, he said, I'm just going to meet you in the middle, and that's my brand new identity. So hope you enjoy it, because I'm going to be inside smokes.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk about Acend now, because yeah, they can have slow starts, you know, it's okay. They know how to come back. But Riv, when you get onto Acend, especially after some of the performances we've seen them already on this map, they really cannot afford to have a slow start against Acend.
Absolutely, because when you see how Acend plays out, you can be right up front to those sites. You can have instant hits, and Acend can take control and create the tempo of the game. That's what we see them love to do. I brought up the Omen earlier. The way that they play with that allows you to play faster. We probably won't see it here, as that's the switch up in agents, but the way you can attack Acend, Gambit has to be ready, because Acend love to play it fast.
Riv, promise me that we see a duelist in the Gambit comp.
Oh my god.
No,
Can we get the Sky for Defo?
Omen, please. I beg for the Omen,
just need a single duelist.
I am a little bit apprehensive, because I had a chat with Redgar yesterday after the game, and I did ask him why they didn't run the duelist, and he said that their composition was specifically worked up in order to counter a KO.
Okay.
Now,
Zeke?
the likelihood of us seeing a KO is pretty high, but maybe they do change their game plan today, because, Sean, it just didn't work yesterday.
Well, they gave us a different look on Breeze, so based on what you just said, I'm thinking Gambit's running it back with a no duelist comp, and I think this is a mistake.
Oh,
they
please
failed to create so much. They failed to create distance.
If they do run that comp, they're on defense first. That's have multiple sentinels, the no duelist comp on.
Oh, they changed it. Okay, they went back
Shadows
to
takes the Sky.
Yeah, they went back to what I think maybe should work a little bit better this time around, Jess.
Oh, I mean, I'm just devastated. No Omen. Also, throughout the groups, I got no Phoenix. I'm sitting here just wanting one of these, you know, niche picks to come up and make a huge difference, because let us not forget, Omen wasn't the worst pick, but I think what they've picked here is good, because you get your duelist. We're getting a couple of flashes to go with, and I love Astra on this map and many maps, so I think it'll work well, this composition.
I mean, with this new comp, Sean, how do you counter the KO here? What do you do?
Oh, it's going to be very difficult for them to counter the KO, and this is something actually that Gambit dealt with at Masters through Berlin. You go back to when they played 100 Thieves. Steel had a lot of success on the KO on Ascent against Gambit. How have they changed since those moments against KO? That's what we're going to have to find out now, because they're running that same comp.
Well, Ascend, they need to win here if they want to pull the series a little bit closer in their favor. Let's jump into Ascend here with Pansy and Hypok.
Yeah, let's jump into it indeed. We do have something that I really want to initially talk about here as well, is seeing that KO and now seeing Nats from map 1 looking fantastic. But we also saw what happened against X10 when he got targeted so directly.
Yeah, literally. In so many rounds, and actually testament to how Cruz actually played that. I said it was one of the best performances from one map alone that we've seen from KO. So a lot of this rides on, again, potentially countering Nats, right? We've seen, obviously, slight adjustment on the composition, so maybe that leans towards a little bit more of comfort on the side of Gambit, but I think it's as well with Ascend. They're probably going to have watched that and just thought, hey, actually,
this works.
Why don't we just try pushing Nats?
That's crazy.
You think map 1, did that work? Not so well.
Well,
Not
now,
so
you
well.
know, you got to rekindle that faith, right? You got to kind of bring yourself back together. And it is map 2 time. If you're just tuning into the grand finals, Gambit picked up map 1, and could you believe it, in a comeback fashion as well. And Ascend, hey, they had the lead and they dropped it.
Walk.
And you're right. What is going on between these two? It's so quick in towards that A site. And already we're going to see that pressure towards Nats. He's going to be kind of dealt with towards Tree for now, but he's still got a gun in his hand. And that might be just enough for him. Yeah, good luck targeting this man. He'll do it all with that target on his back. As Starzo now left in the 1v4.
That's a Redgar set up green. We'll find the first, actually the second as well from Starzo. That's fantastic work. Defo actually will swing through with Shados. They find it. And again, Ascend, try and pump a little bit, try and bait a little prisoners, but Gambit proactive on the defense. We don't see this very often from them. It's not often they go looking, they go hunting for a fight here, particularly in the pistol round, but again, diligence-wise, nobody considering the possibility. I think actually Zeke finds Nats in tree, and nobody considers the possibility he's going to swing out of the smoke. It's almost, you want them to follow up on that utility. They're relying on it, on a little bit of a, I guess, a complacent hold on the side of Gambit.
And I don't think we've ever put the words complacent next to the name Gambit, have we?
No.
A little bit of a switch up in positioning as well, I'd say, with that Astra. playing towards the A site, even on tree, though. We still saw how well prepared Nats was.
Spike
But
down.
now a bit of a trade out. And hello, Bone Cold, finding Defo, and now we've got a player advantage towards Acend. How do they work from this point onwards, though? Can they draw these rotations? Can they find the right place to be? It looks like B might be what they desire, but on the other side, we know who's there. Chronicle waiting. Spectre locked and loaded. Has a quick glance. Sees nothing for now. Does he get any information off this?
Again, good timing on that, though, to use the Aldrone. He's now got his recon bolt again, so potential here if he's given an audio
He's so alone,
cue.
though. Shados is all the way in spawn. Now the contact's made. He has to buy a little bit of time. Just the last piece of utility put to work just before he backed away. Confirmation of 2. And there's that lean through from CT. Nats is en route as well. Chronicle, oh, good for the double. The triple, not quite, as Bone Cold carries off forward. That's the Bone Cold that we know with the Sheriff. And is there any more? Shados, a 1v2. Spike not down, 20 seconds to play with. As Bone Cold trying to be the protector, the bodyguard on this, but has to slip away, sit deeper on the site. But it gives a second, and that might be all Shados needs. A quick flash and a peek. Pushes in, and Bone Cold. That is the man with the Sheriff. It may not be on the Omen, but he's still damn good.
I said this earlier, you give him a Sheriff and any round can look winnable for Acend. And right there, finding 4 kills. And an opening as well. You can see straight away, they drift back towards B. And at that point, you think Chronicle, yeah, the recon bolt, the Aldrone uses, the timing's perfect for it. He actually still had 2 shock darts, I'm pretty sure. It goes for the gunfight instead, not able to buy enough time. And unfortunately, in terms of rotations, they get picked apart.
This is a huge turn of events, so just from momentum alone, Acend desperately needed that. What is that? Look at the info!
Well.
And they just scurry and get out of there like little rats escaping the ship. All noted, all seen. And I like a stack. Look, I'll absolutely back that every day of the week. If you're on Sheriff's Classics, you're trying to make something happen out of nothing, why not give it a go? But for now, this will be, hopefully, clean enough for Acend, and there's the dash, and actually, Killis is fully white, fully blind. Bone Cold needs to be careful here. They can cross this corner if they're feeling themselves. The rifle is in, but they just play as numbers, play as the pack. A 3v3, there's no way this gets more dangerous. Okay, Spike's going A. Okay, it's okay.
Somehow, it's
okay.
a 2v2, though.
It's okay. That's fine. Oh, he's got his ult. Okay.
Confirming what they already know. 2 rifles retrieved for Nats and Redgar. And actually, Zeke looking to get a little bit aggressive at the time, and the flash is going to be good for Redgar at least, but can't close it out.
It's whiffy. It's really not that good. Zeke needs to fall away. He's bought a little bit of time, but it ain't much. Still with another flash, though, he should be able to do some work and play CNED in, potentially. But they do have rifles. Here's that flash, underhand, sends it in. Timing is everything. CNED set for success, gets one on the cross, and now down to Redgar, and it's CNED to keep things just about in check, but
Thank God for that.
I mean, they found 3 players there, took away those rifles, going to force out the reinvestment. This is a damn close game.
And the important thing there, the stack's detected so early, but still they don't commit the spike, right?
Yep.
They know just on the off chance that Chronicle goes huge again and stops that B-site hit. Again, Zeke, a little bit whiffy, but the information's there early enough. Cena can kind of just tuck in and wait for that peek out, with Zeke being a little lower HP-wise. So, I was worried now for a little bit of weapon there, but they come in at the last second. Acend showing presence towards A. Defo just brazen in the swing there, and Cena will punish it.
Now, that's a big amount of information coming through. Shados gets a freebie and a nasty one. Shados hasn't seen anything, and he's still finding them. 2 huge kills, and it's just CNED keeping this one looking potentially likely. The 3v3 presented, and they've got no ground. They have to peel away with the spike for now.
So again, Bone Cold invest the Hunter's Fury there, but no information gathered on the back of it. Chronicle will be spotted there. Look for Bone Cold now to potentially re-aggress towards shore, but the Cosmic Divide will go up just to lock them out of A site for the time being. Well, Acend will wait this out.
You don't walk this, do you, Bone Cold?
Surely not.
You wouldn't do that. Maybe in timing with this, though. Yes, you
does.
do. When Cena plays in, he moves through the divide. Great timing, the push and the pull, taking the eyes away from the prize. But the spike now has to get towards the site. Spike going down. I don't think anything's going to stop it. Chip damage enough. Keyless is going to respect that and fall away to a new post-plant position eventually.
Spike planted.
See it pretty early on, though. Keyless wise to it. Nat's now the last man standing, a 1v2.
And there's the contact made. They now know the position he's working from. They try and stay as a pack, but it's still Nats. One side, going to be one, the other on the other, and this is just lovely work. And you see Acend had to really keep check on that. You drop that ball for a second, you allow him that 1v1. He might have exploited it, but Acend, a lot of things presented there, and they actually succeeded against it.
Absolutely. The awkward thing becomes if Acend now try and revert back to a slower default and try and poke, because Gambit are showing willingness to greet Acend, whichever side they... this is, I think, the third time they've shown a little bit of presence early round on A, and this time around they do follow up. It's looking like another stack towards A here. Again, a Spectre, two Spectres, sorry, invested here for Gambit. Acend just going to try and roll on through.
Yeah, investing in the other divide as well. It's going to allow them safe passage. Yes, they'll be noticed already on the camera, but that'll be just fine. That's not really the biggest bother. I think they've seen a fair amount.
Yes. They've figured out exactly where half of Acend are here, and the really aggressive 4 comes through B main.
Let's see if he can keep it looking lush as ever. Starzo and Cned in perfect unison, leaving just Redgar, and I think he's already been well and truly discovered. They're lining him up, and they're knocking him down. Acend going to keep things chugging forward. But look, after the first map, I can't think it's ever over.
How much do you read into this now? Looking at the start of Breeze and how comfortable Acend looked, how much do you take away from these first 5 rounds?
Yeah, I've never watched a team where it's always felt so possible for a turnaround to happen. Now, the economy kind of got shaken up a little bit by the conversion of the second by Acend, and we saw that kind of stack almost work out. The money's been actually kept relatively humble. Obviously, a little bit now building in the bank for Acend. But I want to see what Gambit do now with a decent purchase. Big information off the back of the flash, and Zeke going to now try and power on forward. Takes everything he can with him, but now on the other side, Defo. Oh, there it is. Good shot from Defo. Comfortable enough, but it's not the only one here. And actually, Killer's what? He unleashes himself. 2 huge frags, keeping Gambit at bay. And is now down to Chronicle. Locked out, blinded, has no chance for now. Has to rescind for a second.
We'll get tagged out as well. He's going to look to follow up on that information. Just to slow him down a little bit as well. Chronicle, not an awful lot he can do in this scenario. Looks like he will peel away, try and hold on to this rifle. Again, it's so difficult for Acend to maintain this pace, this level of aggression, right? Because just one round, Gambit can switch it up. We know Nats likes to rotate, and some of these fast hits can get completely shut down by one trapwire, an orb shot from Defo. So far, at least, since starting as they mean to carry on through this half.
Yeah, and just exiting as a pack, keeping as many of these weapons in hand as they can.
They're looking for a big adjustment on the side of Gambit here. Not necessarily in this next round, we'll have to look at the economy, but they need to stop some of this momentum on the side of Acend. Whether or not they start exploring mid, maybe greet some of this presence towards Catwalk if Acend opt to go this way against Keyless, man. Just I love this though. They're moving with intent. You can see how eager they are to try and close out that tag with the owl drone. Gambit actually going to call a timeout here to potentially consider some of the things we've been discussing.
And there's options aplenty. I don't think this is worrying times yet for Gambit. We've already seen that in the first map anyway, but even just at this scoreline, I don't think there's any problems. They have a deep enough strat book, even just at face value, that we know that they have options in this. I think something that's a little different to my eye, at least, is that it's actually Bone Cold who's having a bit of a moment here. We've seen pretty much everyone else from that side have some really big impactful rounds, you know, some influential games, but Bone Cold's been kind of the quiet leader. And now he's kind of leading from the front a little.
And that's a big positive. You talk about maintaining pace and keeping up the pressure. When you have a I guess, a player that's not always reflective numerically. When you look back at some games, it's always a big confidence booster to have a player like that come online. Again, seen it. I don't want to say he had a quiet map 1, but in terms of the second half of that, he wasn't able to achieve an awful lot on the attack. Again, Defo shutting down a lot of those with just simply rotating. It's really difficult when you're kind of getting battered back and forth and completely locked out of sights, where you then have to next buy round, you're exploring where the operator is. Makes it really, really tricky.
And we talked about the money, just last round, that it wasn't masses. Now it's starting to really get robust. 5.3, 6.3, plenty of credits now sitting behind this buy for Acend. For Gambit, it's odds and ends.
And actually, this is key here in the anti-eco.
You should run.
Acend will show a little presence towards mid. Fury will actually deal with the lockdown here. Defo will find one with the shorty. Quickly traded out, though. And find an opening towards A. Actually, Starzo close enough to hear the sound cue. We'll find the first red guard will fall. We'll find the second as well. That's the last man standing.
Okay, not much damage done. We talk about maybe chipping away at it, forcing them some repurchases. Nothing.
And at this point, it doesn't mean an awful lot either.
Nope.
With a 5-round deficit.
And Defo's been quiet. So actually, most of Gambit have been. Nat's unable to find much impact just yet, and it's night and day. But again, 3 rounds is all they needed on the first. This, though, looks a little bit more commanding. And again, when we look at the map choice, this does sit like you'd imagine Acend should be able to get across the finish line on this. And hopefully that then opens up the entirety of the map pool, get a full best of 5.
Hopefully.
Would be nice.
Because the next one's a bit of a curveball as well.
It's a bit weird. We'll talk about that when it gets to it as well. But into this one, Seekers do come through and confirm they need to get a bit of a wiggle on. Most of the players eyeing up that B site. So the duo who surprised us, Chronicle and Nats, hitting such high notes on map 1, could do with a bit of that now. They actually peel away.
So on the back of the Aldrone and the Seekers here, you can see Cena will actually get picked off there, but Redgar and Shados have pushed up so deep towards A. You can see him pinged out on the minimap.
Are they going to
actually
check this? They have to check
Starzo
this.
knows exactly where they are. He's pinged them on the minimap.
But I still want Bone Cold Zeke. If they even start trying to play towards middle, really trying to address this, even with just a swing, this is not what I wanted. That's a disaster in the making. And now he even predicts the push-up as well, finding Starzo. Shados has just dismembered this hit. Oh, Redgar as well. That's the Gambit you need to find form.
And again, if they can pull this off in a couple of these rounds, these flanks coming through will create so much paranoia for Acend, especially on some of these fast hits. They can't continue leaving these huge gaps on the map.
But you were right, though. It was pinged out, right? Like, that was...
Straight away. And you talk about contingencies, especially when you're playing this quickly. Star's obviously playing a huge role in terms of being on the Astra. He can be very late behind some of these executions. But again, the way they come out of tiles there, you think, has he only heard one potentially?
Is it just a, oh, just be careful? I don't know what the call is there, because as I said, when I see that ping, I think, okay, they're going to at least do something. Because like, another utility was put towards it, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's them just trying to show that they'll then maybe double swing it, do something to address it. Nothing really came out. So, time for maybe a little bit of a get your heads back into the right space, keep focused. Now they need to keep this moving for Acend. If they let off the gas for a second, you know that gap gets closed.
Again, Gambit showing hints of being versatile as well. We don't often see them overstep on defense. They don't like to get too aggressive in terms of pushing out all the way. I mean, that's invested. There's 2 of them. There's 2 members that they're looking to flash through mid. They're looking to catch this rotation or this kind of pivot away from B main. And it works perfectly for them.
Yeah, what a great read on that. What a timing to pull it out as well. Timeout will come to conclusion. We said at 3 does get a little unnerving. However, it's only 2 right now, so they could be just fine, right?
Surely.
I'm looking at, I think it's Defo and Shados over towards that B site. I wonder if they get a little proactive on it, but it is, at least at eye test, looking like an A piece for now.
Again, Nat's key in this scenario. He's not looking to get suppressed on site. He's playing deep towards tree. For him to swing back into bail Redgar out if this hit comes through. Acend creeping closer and closer, and it's looking
Look at these
pretty
rotations.
committed.
Yeah, the rotations are kind of in, though. 2 players already swinging past CT with that deep play coming out from Defo. They feel pretty solid about this, and Nats wants to get in towards it. Redgar already going to spray through. Good for 1, finds Killers. Nats tries to thread the needle. Zeke all too aware this time. Fell for it before, not twice. Shadows from Redgar might have to respect this now, full away from Tree, because you can already see the counterplay coming out from Acend. They want to get aggressive right back at him, and Zeke and Starzo find 2 kills in quick succession, putting such favor by their side if they can get this spike down. Defo.
He's thinking about it.
He's really considering this. It's time to go. Gave it a damn good attempt, but careful now. Acend was ready to get involved as well. Not to be. And they back away and look for the next option, which actually isn't a bad shout, but the door gets shut in their face.
Defo had to swap off that operator to make it a little bit easier on the way back in. And nothing to work off though. 2 smokes for Defo, but you see Acend set up to greet them here.
Clears the right corner with the spray through the smoke, but it's 2 sitting at very favorable angles on the left side. That's going to make it very tricky. Can't get it done, and now Chronicle caught by Zeke, and another big impact round from the man himself. 3 still stand, and Acend pick up where they left off. 7-2 now.
Actually, credit where credit's due. Gambit read that perfectly after not feeling any pressure on the side of B main. I'm not sure if actually any of Keylez's utility is noted. Actually, did actually eat that flash on the way out. You can see Gambit tried to swing out of the cage. Try and reduce the numbers on the side of Acend. But like I said, Gambit read this perfectly. They're set up in the right place, but unfortunately just a couple of engagements not going their way, and we're back in a scenario now after that 1 round win. It's almost torn apart. There's 1,800 credits behind this purchase for Gambit. Redgar's on a stinger.
Yes, doesn't sit well, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No. And now Zeke's got ult as well. Acend has his if he fancies it. On the other side, no masses of intent to read into early. Still going to try and find some of that information. You can see the dog being invested over towards that B site. Going to push up. Don't know if it caught a glimpse. It might have done on Bone Cold if it did just turn in time, but I don't see anyone rotating to support that.
So the big indicator there is if you see Redgar or Nats, where again they're trying to counter Zeke's ultimate here with how deep Nats is playing. He wants his trap wires and his spy cam available for this execute.
Okay, Defo, Shados, now going to be suppressed and have to just have the gun in the hand, and that's going to be the good pick on the first. The follow-up, Shados! Quick as lightning, finding 3 and sending Acend right on back. Defo wants to take that space, and this is brutal work from Gambit. That site's all theirs. Bone Cold and Acend. I wouldn't want to go through there again. It's just a grinder.
30 seconds left.
Oh, there's no way in. There is no way into this. 23 seconds now. 4 players here. Plenty of utility. Shadow still has 2 flashes if he wants to just keep buying time if he wants to. There's 1. Just let them know, they're still around. Don't overpeak it, boys.
10 seconds left.
Got to give this one up.
There it is. Walk on in. Only going to get 1. And 3 seconds left. Acend still gets Redgar. But it's going to be 3 on the board.
Great adjustment. Fantastic read once again from Gambit. Those trap wires would have been huge if they could have got past the choke point, but Shados stops them at the front door. Massive from him. Again, the first kill is Zeke out.
A 3rd. Dreamy work.
This is interesting though. Zeke's investing into an operator here. Not sure if that will be cycled across or whether or not he's just going to go for an early round peek here towards top mid.
Flash.
Nothing on the other side of it though.
I don't think Gambit have really been challenging through middle like this. This hasn't been one of those like, oh, Defo's making a lot of impact here. It's been...
They're losing these rounds on the rotate. They don't need to fight for mid.
Yeah. And speaking of rotate, you can already see the lean back towards that A site. I don't know what the tails are, but it looks like a good read again.
Confirmation there,
yeah. They're going to be happy with that. That's going to be at least revealed somewhat. Position now considered. Do they adjust off the back? Do they decide to go back towards that B piece? For now, the 4 players in middle looking for the start, and Redgar already going to deny it. That was the kind of split working towards A, and this again keeps telling these concepts of this. Oh! Jumping on the cross, Zeke! What is Zeke trying to do with this? He's getting now out of it.
Actually, you can see Acend have stacked up here. The trap wire will confirm CNED's entry towards B side.
But it's so geared for a retake, and Zeke looks
They don't even
just
need to retake.
flat. Yeah, Chronicle's doing just fine already. The door was already shut. Nats was on the other side of this. If it was going to be a walk through B, they'd have been aware and maybe hit that rotation through CT. But as you said, they didn't even need to go to that mode yet. So Bone Cold now, you going to do anything for us? Not really. Shados shuts it out, and I've got to say, that was... I feel like maybe Acend trying something that wasn't needing to be addressed.
No, I think you're bang on the money there. This is almost reminiscent of running out of steam, running out of ideas, potentially now second-guessing themselves. Like I said, a few rounds where Gambit have pushed out, it's built that paranoia that Acend feel as if they need to slow down the early round. And that one flank actually towards top mid, that one push through A main with Shados and Redgar is almost, this is the byproduct of that.
Yeah, that was the catalyst to all of this. And now there is more than just a window of opportunity. The door's been opened. This could be 5-7. We have to look at what's coming back in for this, though, for Acend. They are down, at least on Bone Cold there. Purchase not perfect. Let's see what they can do. Looks like an A hit coming in.
Again, look, Defo controlling all of B main. Already the rotation comes through from Gambit.
The theory is exceedingly strong from Gambit, but they still have to deal with the pressure that's coming their way. Redgar! Oh my word, Redgar! How are you alive in this? Deals with such pressure so well. And Starzo knows he is now just absolutely surrounded. The spike's in enemy control. He cannot get across that. This would need something, somewhat of a miracle here.
Another round where you see them almost baited in by the confirmation on the back of Zeke's utility, Bone Cold's utility as well. Gambit welcomed them with open arms. And what looked disastrous now is looking like a 7-5 half, which is a miracle for Gambit.
Their ability to adjust whenever they need it. Redgar to shut down this chapter. 5-7, Hypoc. This is looking far more feasible than it did initially.
That's half the comeback required on map 2 for Gambit, because they've already done most of the legwork. They're a pistol round, a round 2, right back to an even game. How Redgar finds a second here,
I don't know,
is beyond me. He has no right to find that second kill.
But it's not the first time we've seen him deal with that sort of presence as well. He's so good at handling that sort of pressure coming his way. Still, as you said, good for 2 in that, when I felt 1 was probably more than enough. However, speaking of more than enough, 5-7. That scoreline's much closer now than what we had on the first, so maybe not even the comeback needed. Who knows? A whole other half to go, and the desk to talk you through the first.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, like you said, much, much closer. We've seen Gambit play Acend already yesterday. This is much better, Sean.
This is preparation gone to perfection at the end of that half. The way they countered the null command by, again,
so good.
Just chilling in their spawn. Nats is idle in his camera, holding A for Chronicle. He has a cage at B. Also, you have Redgar back there on the Astra in Astral form, ready to help out either side as well. Their rotations were so on point. They countered the KO perfectly.
I mean, Bone Cold for the first half of that half. I felt like that first half had 2 whole halves to it. It was like a whole match really in of itself. And the big thing to remember here is that for Bone Cold, he's going up against a Gambit side that historically has a defensive sidedness on Acend. Now, if you don't win that half decisively, you are staring down the barrel of probably a loss if they keep up that trend. So that is my big worry here, is that Bone Cold, he had a good first 5 rounds. He couldn't keep it up into that second half of that first half.
Yeah.
Oh man, Gambit have their number, and I gotta throw it out there, guys. I gotta eat my words. I said Acend had counter-shredded their opponents. Looks like maybe their opponents have just gone that step further.
This is crazy because Defo over there on the Jet is 3-7. They took him out of the game early. They caught him on some off timings in A main and pushing into market over at B. Keelis caught him once, and he had no success. Even the Blade Storm whiffs, it didn't matter. Gambit didn't need that because the strategy and tactics prepared to counter Acend, they look like the more prepared team here.
It really does. The moment we saw Acend getting into the sites, their post plants, the layering of how they would take Gambit out on the way back in, brought a lot of those first rounds into the game along with Bone Cold. Once Gambit figured that out, you mentioned the null command on round 10, how they sat back and everything was available from both Redgar and Nats to be used in the round. You can tell how comfortable they are in reading and even giving Acend a little bit of space before Gambit attacks again.
Well, Acend, they do have 7 rounds here. Let's jump into the second half with Pansy and Hypok and see if that will be enough.
It's the big question, isn't it? Because I think most of us, when we look at this matchup, on paper, if it starts at 2-0 for Gambit, the reverse sweep becomes something of a fable at that point. Now, we are always happy to be proven wrong, but I think Acend really do need this.
They do, in terms of confidence, in terms of stabilizing in a best-of-5 series. This is huge for them to close out, and not to throw another lead.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger point, right? Is that mental game between these two will become so hard to get around. And it starts with this. The pistol in the second half can set you up and tee you up to get to those double digits for Acend. That could be incredible for them. And Zeke, the man to step in towards that pick towards main. Eyeing up the spike, though. It's working up short.
Gambit drifting towards this 3-player stack. Actually, the Trailblazer are going to plant the seed of doubt towards mid. Actually, Zeke and Starzo will swing through. Nats and Redgar fall.
No doubt in Ascend's mind. They are still holding the right place in the right time. Shados is about to be in danger, and he is. Zeke is taking control of this round. 3 big picks, leaving just Defo in a 1v5. Not much step, but the cross is not available. Acend get what they need. It's the start to potentially shutting down what could be a Gambit chapter.
A nice little setup there on Amen. This is the sort of thing I've talked about. If Acend are able to get a good read, they set up and they look so comfortable to greet this pressure. Zeke actually playing closer contact, but Cena baiting them in almost, playing just behind bricks there, taking first contact and waiting for Zeke to counter peek. Look for Acend to try and replicate that in a few of these rounds on their defense. But also, I mean, Zeke's got to make use of the 0 point here. Particularly that 20 to 30 second stalemate if Gambit do want to continue playing slow. Bone Cold and Zeke need to suck with their utility and make the most of it.
Pace.
But Cned.
He has to get out of there because they're trying to hunt him down right now. Tries to slip towards CT, but takes a little bit of the space back. The pace change from Gambit is so apparent, but already it's fine. Acend are happy with all of this. None of the fights break a sweat, and it's another Prime Gaming flawless coming out. Acend off to the absolutely idyllic start here in the second half.